What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. So, we're going to be giving some warnings here for a couple different groups of people, including all drivers and all car owners. I'll give you the details here on this, on why it's going to be costing you more money in the next 12 months. I'll give you the details here on that, as well as for anybody that pays health insurance. Get ready to write some bigger checks here. I'll give you the details here on that. And for pretty much everybody in the middle class, on why you're going to need even more money here. And this isn't a good thing. Yeah. So let's jump right in. I'll give you all the details here right now. We are live on YouTube here. So if you can see and hear me, type yes in the chat or the comments. If you want to, let me know your location, your city, state, or even country, as we have people tuning in here all around the globe here for our pretty much daily shows. Yeah, so you can see who's tuning in here in the chat or the comment section. Also here, happy Labor Day. So if you're tuning in for a live show, or maybe you're catching the kind of the repeat show or the later show, maybe a few days later here, let me know what you did for the holiday or what you're doing for the holiday. But yeah, and the price. If you watch my previous video here on the grocery store prices, yeah, if you didn't see that video, I'll link to that video here in a few moments here. But the grocery store prices are absolutely almost as bad as the killer mosquitoes, right? And yeah, those are getting kind of crazy. I had that video here, that previous video here. But take a look at this. Also, thanks so much for liking these videos. Please like these videos. It tells YouTube you like them, and it sends them out to even more people when we get a bunch of likes. And subscribe if you haven't yet. Check this out. All right, let's start with health insurance, which most people need health insurance, right? And we're seeing health insurance go up almost across the board here. So we'll start with this story here. New York State approves rate hikes on health insurance premiums here. And it's not just for New York, because it's going up almost everywhere. Health insurance premiums for about 1 million New Yorkers will be getting much more expensive next year. Governor Kathy Hochul's administration approved on average rate increases of about 12% for individuals and more than 8% for small group plans. Despite the increase, the rates hikes are actually lower than the proposed increases of 17% and 19% than health insurers were seeking. And man, it just feels like these health insurance plans just keep going up and up and up and up. Similar to the cost of college, man. God bless anybody that has a kid going to college, because man, the cost of health insurance and the cost of college. I'm not in college, or my wife's not, or anything, but it just feels like both of those costs are just completely unfair. The State Department of Finance cited rising costs of medical care, hospital stays, skyrocketing costs of prescription drugs for the increases, as well as, I'm sure, the cost of labor here. Um, yeah, just keeps going up here. Same thing here. Another story. Vermont health insurance costs are among the highest in the nation and rising quickly. Federal and state subsidies help offset the cost of health insurance for many Vermonters who buy in the state's marketplace, but the costs are still substantial. We're seeing just so many increases in so many different departments that people are kind of forced to pay for, right? You need health insurance, right? You need groceries, you need gas, and it's almost like these costs are forced upon you. Especially if like my wife has a kidney disease. She has a kidney disease called MSK. It's a medullary sponge kidney. We actually went to Texas, I think was it earlier this year or last year, and she actually had a surgery. She went to see a specialist and have a surgery, and she's basically in pain every day. And unfortunately, it didn't work. But it's one of those things. You gotta have insurance. You gotta have insurance for your kid. You gotta have insurance, and a lot of people get it through their employers. And it comes out of their checks. So they're paying for it one way or another, right? But insurance just keeps going up and up and up and up, and not by a little bit, but by a lot, way more than, a few percent a year, 2 or 3% a year. And these costs are just absolutely killing the average middle class person, right? And I'm actually seeing this all around the globe here. And except for maybe countries that have um, healthcare included with their country, but they kind of pay for it one way or another because they have much higher taxes maybe than the United States. Remember, the United States actually has, it's like 30 to 40% of Americans don't pay federal taxes, believe it or not. So they're actually paying zero taxes. But so those countries have much higher taxes, and they have significant longer wait times. So there's always a give and take with each kind of system, right? And there's always changes. The United States actually could switch to a system like that in the future. So they've actually looked into, Bernie Sanders had the plan. He wanted to do Medicare for all. So you never know. We actually could switch to a system like that. But we are seeing costs go up and up and up and up for a lot of people, that they are getting to the point where it's becoming unaffordable. Also, car insurance premiums could skyrocket 50% in some states this year. Car insurance rates are surging and probably will, in some states, spike 50%. And we've already seen a massive spike here over the last 12 months. And you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. And going forward here for the next 12 months, we're probably going to continue to see car insurance rates spike here. And it's just yet another thing we continue to see pound the middle class here, costing even more money. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on this, because of course everybody has a different opinion, but so many costs just becoming unbelievable. Take a look at this clip I seen here earlier.
It's not good. There's a debt bomb and it's exploding. Americans starting their adult lives are facing more than $500,000 in debt to buy items previous generations, well, they may have taken for granted. The median price of a home at an all-time high of $426,900, even as the inventory for homes remains tight. Meanwhile, rising prices for cars and trucks is causing consumers to lengthen their loans to 84 months. That, of course, longer than the vehicle may last. Education debt, another looming issue, as you see here. And putting a ring on it, well, that sets the average couple back $30,000. Although I didn't spend that much on mine, okay? It's no wonder that a Bankrate survey found that Americans believe they need $186,000 annually to live comfortably. That's more than double the average income earned by Americans. The actual number, $79,000. Now, there's increasing evidence that this burgeoning debt is causing some Americans to tighten their purse strings. Real retail sales peaked 3 years ago, about the time Americans were spending their government pandemic bonuses. That money, though, is long gone. And now many of us are facing a debt hangover as delinquencies rise. Take a look at those credit card and auto loan delinquencies. Jade Warshaw and her husband decided enough is enough, and they paid off their debt, which totaled $460,000. It took 7 years. Listen.
The slogan that most Americans need to embrace is, when it comes to debt, just say no. For most Americans, debt is the problem, and you can't solve a problem while simultaneously creating it.
Jade says focus is the key to paying off debt, and boosting your income, hey, that doesn't hurt either. Jackie, guys?
Not a surprise, though, that we're seeing people just for everyday items and things that they need, cars, whatever it is, going into more debt because everything costs more. So ultimately, unless you pull back and get fierce about the budget, you're going to be spending more.
You got to get fierce about that $30,000 ring. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I think it should be more than that.
But you're right.
It's more than that,
Jackie,
Brian.
when you're in a hole, stop digging, right?
That guy was a little mistaken. It's average cost $30,000 for the whole wedding, which that's, when you got to have dinner, a reception, all that stuff, right? All those people, DJ, all pictures, all those things, right? That you got to rent out the place. I mean, our wedding at this point, in fact, our anniversary is here on September 4th. We will be together 13 years since our actual wedding, and we will have been together for 20 years because we were together for 7 years before we actually got married. So 20 years, me and my wife Laura will have been married. So and even back then, we only had like, I think it was like 70 people at our wedding. A lot of people have weddings of 300 people, 200 people. Imagine what those cost, right? I mean, you've been to those type of weddings, right? So our wedding was way smaller. It costs a lot of money. Imagine what the cost of those things are, right? But as you can see here, you're seeing in that video, it was almost 10% of what was it, credit card debt and auto loan debt are in delinquencies now. It was like, what was it, 8 and 9%. So things are getting bad, and when interest rates gone up to the highest in over 20 years, that really put a lot of negative pressure on people. That really put a lot of people in pain, and it really made people realize that times are tough. Times are tough right now. And this is why, if you see my previous video, I'll link you to that here in a moment, about what's happening at grocery stores. It's time for people to really buckle down and really focus on paying down debt, focusing on the necessities, and just getting back to basics. If you can, pay down that debt. I like the snowball method, where you're basically just paying down the credit card that has the lowest balance. Get rid of the lowest balance credit card. Don't worry about the interest rate per se. I mean, you can if you want to, but if you can just pay down the lowest credit card with the lowest amount, just get rid of that, because then you don't have that payment anymore. And then once that's gone, then you can take that payment and then apply that to the next lowest. So now you have, a whole payment freed, and then you can basically make two payments onto the next card. So it's called the snowball debt. And I've had I've mentioned it a couple times on my channel, and I've actually had a lot of people say that it really works. It really works, because then once you keep paying off a card or two, you have multiple payments because you paid off a card or two, and then you can take those payments and then pay them off to the next card. And now you have 2 or 3 cards that are paid off, and you keep applying those same payments towards the next card, and it really kind of snowballs from there. But with credit card interest rates are at an all-time high. The average credit card interest rate is around 30%. So that means you're paying 30% of the interest every year. So if you have a $10,000 balance, you're paying 30% interest every year. So $3,000 in interest every year for round numbers. And you still owe them the full balance, so $10,000. So it's wild. So yeah, and that's how credit card companies get rich, and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. If you've heard that saying, that's how. And that's why people that don't have debt get richer, because they're doing the same thing with their investments. Okay. And that's why people that invest in themselves, their 401k, their IRA, their retirement, they're not doing that. They're investing in themselves, and they'll actually get paid for using their credit cards. They'll actually just get rewards, even if it's only 2%. The cash back and stuff. You actually get paid for using your credit card. So literally, just pay it off every month. Just pay it in full, and they'll actually give you rewards, cash back or miles, whatever you want to do. And then instead of you paying 30%, they're paying you 2%. So 2% plus is better than negative 30. And that's how the rich get rich and the poor get poorer, because they're not paying the credit cards. The credit cards are actually paying them. And then they use that money to fund their 401k, their IRA, or just put the money into, even money markets right now, which is basically a savings account at an online bank. A money market account is paying 5%. Plus 5% is better than negative 30. And you see the money really starts to grow and add when it's on the plus side, as opposed to the negative side, taking money out of your pocket. It's better to grow and grow and compound instead of negative. It's compounding for the credit card company instead of compounding for you. They say one of the greatest forces of nature is compound interest. And when it's compounding for you and growing in your pocket, it's literally like a clone of you. It's like your own employee working for you all night long while you're sleeping and growing your own money. So that's why as soon as you get out of debt and your money starts growing for you, and you realize it, and you look back at the end of the year and you're like, hey, I earned X amount of thousands of dollars from my own interest or my own, money in the market, stocks, bonds, money markets, and you're like, I made thousands of dollars, however many it was, as opposed to paying them thousands of dollars in credit card debt. You're like, that was a massive life change. And that's how the rich get richer and the poor stay poor. Literally just those two changes right there. Don't pay credit card debt. Don't pay, car loan debt's okay if it's a low interest rate. Home loan debt's okay if it's a low interest rate. You're not paying, 10% or something like that, especially if you got in several years ago when those home loans were at like 2, 3, 4%, right? That's okay because remember, money markets are paying 5% right now. So you actually could have a home loan right now that's lower than what money markets are paying you. So you could actually be making money on your cash, on your money market. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I will keep you up to date here on everything happening here on a daily basis and what's going to be happening going forward here. So make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon. It's the best price there is, completely free. Thank you for liking and share these videos. I will keep you up to date. Click here to see the video on what's happening in grocery stores and the major warning coming to consumers. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.